Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video. I didn't think I would be covering any Kamen Rider related news this soon after the last video that I did, but here we are, and this also has to do with Kamen Rider Black by extension, I would say. So as you can read here from the article, it says, Tetsuo Kurata makes controversial remarks regarding his Kamen Rider Black role on Kamen Rider series' 50th anniversary. So let me just preface everything by saying that I will be linking all of these articles and the video in question in the description below for y'all to go ahead and take a look at for yourselves and really just kind of draw your own conclusions. This is the only site that I've seen talk about this, so I also want to say that I don't know what Love Tokusatsu's credibility is. Like I said, I'm not seeing any of the other Tokusatsu sites that are frequented by most Tokusatsu fans here in the West. I don't see any of them talking about this. So even though some of this stuff sounds pretty bad, if it is, and if it's true, then, you know, wow, right? But I'm not going to speak to whether or not any of it is or isn't true because I really don't know, and there's always going to be a little bit more, you know, beneath the surface when it comes to stuff like this. Like I said, I haven't seen anybody from any of the other sites really covering this, just these guys. Maybe it's possible that this news just hasn't gotten around like that yet. Maybe it's a big old nothing burger. I don't know. You know, I'm not going to speak to anything definitive, right? Just kind of what things look like on the surface here and just really just give my opinion on the situation. So let's go ahead and get into it here. This was an article that was put out a couple days back on the 6th, and it says here, Tetsuo Kurata portrayed the protagonist Minami Kotaro in Kamen Rider Black and Black RX during a broadcast on 17 Live, a live streaming app, on April 3rd, which was the 50th anniversary of Kamen Rider. The actor made controversial remarks that surprised viewers. The live stream itself was also hit with some controversy to those who didn't donate. Kurata questioned if a viewer was really his fan, and why are you here if you're not going to do anything? And in parentheses it says donate, which, I mean, would tell me that maybe that was the implication there, right? That that's what he was implying, or maybe it was something else, right? But I'll give my opinion on that in just a moment. Kurata also commented that he has come to like and dislike fans too, then proceeded to block those who didn't donate. When he did receive a donation, he was in a much happier mood. The remarks were also surprised because the second major announcement made on the day was a reboot of Kamen Rider Black entitled Kamen Rider Black Sun, and Kazuya Shiraishi was announced as director of the reboot. As you all know, I covered that in the previous video. Many believed Kurata would celebrate the news, but that wasn't the case and instead dismissed it. In the video, Kurata made a few surprising statements. I don't like the story of Kamen Rider. Even if it's the 50th anniversary, I'm not a Kamen Rider. It just happened. I just happened to be a writer in the past. I don't really like Kamen Rider. Fans expressed how they felt disappointed during the live stream. What are you saying, Kurata-san? You don't like Kamen Rider? But why would you say that on the day of the 50th anniversary of Kamen Rider? I was so disappointed that I stopped being a Kamen Rider Black fan. Kurata is currently the owner of a steak restaurant, and apparently it's called like Billy the Kid, I believe is the name of the restaurant. But Kamen Rider has an existence there. In February, a magazine interviewed the sculptor Asan, who made a life-size statue of Kamen Rider Black free of charge. Asan made the statue in 2018 under the condition that Kurata would not use it for commercial purposes and instead had set up space in his home to display the statue. However, Kurata broke the conditions and used it inside the store for 3 years. At the 13th anniversary event in February, a sticker with an image of Kurata with the statue was distributed. It should have been used for private use, but it's being used illegally to attract customers to Kurata-san's store, and Asan Kurata believes that his fans are the ones who want to see it in the store and has no choice but to display it in the restaurant. Okay, so just real quick here before I get into the rest of this article, Japan seems to take this kind of stuff a little bit more seriously than the US, but I don't know how serious, right? Or at least seemingly you would think that, right? I don't know if it's something that they really would want to crack down on one way or the other. I will say this. I don't see that as too big of a deal if he's using the statue to bring in customers. Of course, there's the problem of the legality behind it. If he's not getting any kind of express written consent or any kind of permission from Toei to do it. Yeah, he probably shouldn't be doing it, but it's not all that surprising, especially when you consider how things happen here in the US, right? And obviously Japan is a completely different country. I get that, but think about this for a moment. There's a lot of Ranger actors that go to these conventions and they will do photo ops with them in the spandex suits of their character from the show. Now, technically, they're not supposed to do that. It's in their contracts. They're not supposed to be profiting off of that, but they do. And I can tell you 100% they don't get permission for that. A lot of them do not get permission for that. So, and they do it anyways, and they have done it for years, and really none of these companies have really gone after them. They've just let it be. So I don't know if maybe Toei is along those lines where they're just like, they know that stuff like this happens and they're just like, you know, they just don't care about it. So I think this might be making a little bit of a mountain out of a molehill, but I could understand it, right? I know the Japanese are a different culture. They're a little bit more kind of strict and honor bound when it comes to certain things. So maybe for them, this is a much greater offense than it is over here, but maybe not. I don't know. But at least from my perspective, like I said, this is not anything new, right? Like I said, we see Ranger actors do this all the time, and in most cases, they're not getting permission from like Hasbro, and they weren't getting permission from Saban. And like I said, having worked for a convention that was a Power Rangers centric convention for 6 years, I can tell you for a fact, a lot of these actors did not get any permission to do this. And honestly, had Saban Brands at the time who owned Power Rangers, had they decided to drop the hammer on these people, they could have really done some damage to them, because those were those situations were completely unauthorized. But it is what it is. I think they kind of know that these actors are going to do that, so they don't really care. It's just like so many of them do it that they're just like, just let them. So I don't know. But let me continue on here. On November 6th, in an interview with Tamashi Web, Kurata spoke about his thoughts on Kamen Rider Black. During the interview, he stated that many Kamen Rider Black fans visited his store. They told them how they felt about the series and hoped that he would reprise the role. And we have seen, now this was, I guess, November of 2020, I'm assuming. We have seen him reprise the role in the past. He has come back. Yeah, I believe he came back for, I know he came back for a Kamen Rider Drive movie, I believe. And he also had come back in Kamen Rider Decade. So, I mean, we see that he's been open to returning to the role of Kotaro Minami in the past. So, Kurata commented that he believed it was his destiny to continue to be Minami Kotaro Kamen Rider Black. Kurata must have once appreciated the role, as he named his son Kotaro after the Kamen Rider Black protagonist. Some believe that the rant is inconsistent with Kurata's past actions in favor of the series and should be dismissed. Kurata has continued to benefit from Kamen Rider Black, even though those may have been careless remarks. Yet after the April 3rd interview, many fans felt as though their feelings had been trampled on by Kurata. The actor was in the role for 2 years in Black and Black RX, which was a first for the series. He may have begun to resent it, as he didn't want to be typecast or only seen as Kotaro instead of Kurata. Kurata has also expressed that he wasn't satisfied with his acting debut. So, okay, a couple of things on this, right? That could be true, right? Maybe it was a role that he did embrace completely and really loved at some point. And maybe there's some things going on right now in his personal life that have him angry and frustrated. Maybe this was frustration that was always there under the surface, and it's just finally bubbling up now, and he's just finally having the opportunity to unleash that frustration. Does that excuse what he did? I'm not saying that it does, but we don't know what's going on with people, right? We don't know what his financial situation is like, especially considering what's going on in the world with the coup. If that has caused him to lose a lot of money in business, he might be under a lot of stress when it comes to stuff. Again, not making excuses. He should conduct himself a little bit more professionally, but at the same time, there's a reason why they say never meet your heroes, right? Although many tried to defend Kurata's rant on 17 Live, it doesn't explain the current allegations against him from fans in multiple countries. Now, this I've heard of as being his behavior as it comes. Well, I should say the biggest complaint seems to be, and again, I don't know if this is true or not because I've never been to these shows outside of the country, right? Supposedly he charges a lot for his autograph and picture. I don't know. That's apparently what's been said by people, but let's continue on here. Kurata has also recently been accused of trying to sneak out money from fans and illegally holding bus tours. Now, this is one that these other articles that I will also go ahead and link in the description below, you'll have to translate them, have also claimed that he's done these kind of bus tours, and apparently that's illegal for him to do these kind of bus tours that he's charging fans to do. Like I said, over here in America, this would be one of those things that people look at and be like, ah, it's just another day. It's just something that some of these actors do. They don't really get permission to do things that they probably have no legal grounds to do, but they kind of do them anyways. So, although questioned several times, he continued to press fans for more donations into 2021 and then blocked them after they refused. So, here we have a link to the video, and I did watch the video, and there are times where he does seem kind of annoyed, but when you look at these things that are being said here, it's hard to know what the full context here is, because again, like I said, the way it's translated, something could be lost in translation. I don't know what, you know, his real kind of tone behind some of these things are, if he's saying it in a really kind of malicious tone, in an angry tone, in a frustrated tone, I don't know. This could just be just nonchalant stuff that he's saying. You're not even really thinking about it. Maybe he's just being honest, because for a lot of these actors, as we've seen, some of them are proud of these roles, some of them not so much. I mean, I can think of Amy Jo Johnson, right? The original Pink Ranger, Kimberly. For many years, she really tried to distance herself from her role as the Pink Ranger, and actually found it to be really embarrassing that she portrayed the Pink Ranger, even though that's how she got started in acting. Really, that's what really kind of put her on the map, and it's still what she's best known for, even though she went on to do a TV series called Flashpoint, which she's also known for. More people will always know her in pop culture as Kimberly, the first Pink Ranger, for a lot of people in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I know for a long time she really distanced herself from that. It seems like in recent years, I don't know if it's due to necessity or because she really is truly embracing it. I can't speak to her motives, but she is embracing that role a little bit more these days. But I don't know. Maybe for him, there's a combination of a lot of things. Maybe there's a bit of bitterness that his career didn't reach the heights that it did because of the fact that he was kind of typecast as Kamen Rider Black and Black RX, and wanted to go beyond that. He wanted to be taken seriously as an actor, not just looked at as this guy who was Kamen Rider 30 some odd years ago. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on here with this stuff, but there's when you see other things like this that claim other stuff that he's done, like the bus tour and stuff like that, the whole thing with the statue, which honestly I don't think that's really a big deal, but this is interesting. A housewife, this from the other article, which was a little bit earlier, this one was put out last month. It says, during a live broadcast, Kurata has expressed how he was having financial troubles. So that's another thing to take into consideration here. He began to ask fans for assistance, and some donated money with good intentions, but were frequently asked for more. A housewife in her 30s who began corresponding with Kurata on SNS, and that's basically just means social media, told her story. After watching his live broadcast, she was asked to send money. After sending more money once, he continued to contact her, asking her for more money. She sent more money after feeling threatened, and in the end, she paid nearly 300,000 yen, which is around $200 and $700 US. And it talks about the illegal bus rides that could be in violation of the Travel Agency Act in Japan. It talks about another Kamen Rider, the guy who played Super 1, who borrowed money from his fans and apparently was threatening with bodily harm. Look, we all know what's going on in the world today, right? With the virus and things like that. Could be that he's falling on some hard times. He's getting desperate and is extremely stressed. I'm making an excuse for him. Obviously, look, if you're in a tough spot, you got to do whatever you can to get yourself out of it, right? And he does need to take personal responsibility if that is the case. But this stuff is, again, I can't say one way or the other. I can't speak to his character because there's always going to be people that you're not going to be able to please when it comes to stuff like this. People expect you to be like the hero that you portray, and that's not always the case. And while there's some people that do their best to try to uphold that image that people have of them because they played this role. We're all humans at the end of the day. We're not perfect. We're going to say messed up things. We're going to make mistakes. I don't know what's going through this guy's mind. Maybe he is a dirtbag, right? For all we know, maybe he meant all this stuff maliciously and really doesn't care about the fans, only cares about getting money. Who knows? I don't know. I can't say either way. I really don't know enough about the situation. And really, this is one of those things that because there is that language barrier, I don't understand Japanese. I don't know what his true intent was with saying any of this stuff. Like I said, it could just been careless comments that he made because he's under stress. It could be he's just finally being honest about how he really feels about everything and is just finally like lashing out about it. I don't know. I really undecided either way on this. It really is one of these situations where I guess you gotta kind of look at the information here and just kind of draw your own conclusions from it. But as where I'm at right now with all this, if he is really like just this kind of money-centric person, that's a shame. But we never know what's going on with people and what's causing them to be stressed out. In the video, he looks a little bit, even though it's dark, you know, he looks a little bit thin here and looks a little bit somewhat disheveled. He seems to have look like he hasn't shaved in a little bit, so I don't know. He looks a little bit haggard in the video here, but like I said, I can't say what he's going through. I don't know. Maybe he's in a bad place. Maybe he's in a dark place, literally and figuratively, as we see here in the video. I don't know. It really is one of these situations where I think you just got to kind of look over the information yourself, draw your own conclusions. And again, this is something that I haven't seen any of the other tokusatsu sites really talk about, except for this Love Tokusatsu is the only one in English that I've seen so far that is really covering this situation. There are these Japanese sites, which again, I will link in the description below. You'll have to translate them if you don't understand Japanese to read them. And on the surface, it doesn't look good. But again, it could just be gossip, right? For all we know, I mean, really draw your own conclusion. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, you all know how it goes. The hunt continues.
地球は悪の手に沈む Way of the hero